Hey there, nomads of lore.
Maestros of mirth and mythology.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jonathan.
And together we are Mead and Mischief, your home away from no home.
This is part 3 of Star Wars Ranked. We are going to do number 3, 2, and 1 of our individual list of the films ranked, the current 11 films. So if you haven't seen the first two videos, you should definitely go check those out. But let's get started. What's your number 3?
Number 3. So this is our top 3.
Right.
If you've watched our other videos, these aren't going to be a surprise. The order may be. You can fight us later.
That's right.
So my number 3 is probably going to be a controversial choice. My number 3 is Episode 1, A New Hope. Episode 4. Just kidding.
Not
the very
episode 1.
Episode 1. Episode 1 was way back there. Episode 1, Jar Jar Binks' Revenge. No, no, just kidding. Episode. What I haven't. Yeah, the first movie to come out. Episode 4, cool. A New Hope. You know, most people. When you go out and ask the general populace, you're gonna get as what their favorite Star Wars is. You know, if you ask people our age and a little older, you're really going to get only 2 answers for the most part. You're either going to get A New Hope or you're going to get Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. It's my number 3. And for the simple reason that when I first watched these as a teen, I could have watched them a lot younger, but I didn't watch them until I was, preteen, teen, as I watched them a little later than a lot of people my age. I found it to be the most boring. As an adult, I don't agree with myself. I find it's much more interesting now. I get some of the humor better now as an adult. There's less action, like people action. There's obviously the space battles and stuff. There's Luke Skywalker and shooting the hole, and all the things. And it's my top 3, and as we've said before in these videos, it's Star Wars, and Star Wars movies. We, as big Star Wars fans, Star Wars movies, we tend to rank higher just because they're Star Wars. And it's still a great film. Obviously, I love it. It started everything. It still holds up well to this day. Even without the special editions. Sorry, George. With the
Christmas edition,
the holiday special that doesn't exist. It does exist. It should. Mark Hamill.
In fact, I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, so you can find it on YouTube. Actually, Mark Hamill just put on Instagram the other day, asked Donald Trump, if you're watching this when this comes out, the president, to pardon that film. He was making fun.
That's funny.
But anyway, not A New Hope, because that's wonderful. Doesn't need pardoning, but the holiday special. But anyway, it started everything, and it really does hold up well. Even without special edition stuff, it's really great. It's absolute classic. My young children love it, and they're little, and we still love it, and probably always will. I would be surprised if this is ever lower than my top 3, because it's great. So Episode 4, A New Hope.
All right. So my number 3 is Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
And I had a really hard time with this top 3, and putting where that puts another one of the films that's not one of the first 3, so that's interesting. But Empire Strikes Back is probably it's very hard for me to distinguish between that one and Episode 4 being my number 1, because I love all of the ice stuff, the Hoth stuff. There's the scene with the ATs, the big walkers, when they're going around their feet with the cable. And that just reminds me. I can't remember if it was an N64 game. I think it was, but it may have been
Rogue Squadron, right?
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
And you actually get to do that, and so
Yeah, super fun.
that memory for some reason always comes back, and actually doing that, and anyway, that movie, it's hard for me to put it there, but I think it's got to be my number 3 at this point. So
okay,
there you go.
Well, you're clearly wrong there. I mean, so number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't even have to look. So number 2 is episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
As a younger self, as a teen, preteen, I would have put it at number 1. It was most exciting. I have never been, from the beginning, and still am not an Ewok hater. I actually didn't realize you disliked the Ewoks as much as you did. Actually, I don't remember hearing you ever say that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're silly and comedic and whatever. And I remember sitting around with my cousin and like making fun of them, sitting and watching, which I don't know that that's a good thing about them, but it's a fun memory for me. You know, I remember pausing it and pausing it and, you know, and replaying the scene when they first come and find them, and little Ewok says that guy's wise or whatever. I don't know that that's. I'm sure that he's supposed to actually be saying Ewok, whatever. I don't know. I've never been an Ewok hater. I mean, I've always liked the Ewoks. I still to this day love all of the montage of scenes with the Emperor and Vader and Luke. I love that setup. I love that climax. It's just really, I love the Ian McDiarmid is still just amazing. You know, when he talks about the fully operational battle station, you know, and opens the window, and oh my gosh, it's terrible, you know, which you say what you want about the Last Jedi, but it harkens back to that moment, you know, where Snoke reveals the thing and she looks out, and, you know, so that's, you know, say what you want about it messing with stuff, but it does harken back to that moment. It's kind of chinchy effects, but I love the moment when Vader steps up and tosses the Emperor off the thing, and that whole redemption story. I love the speeders. It's super fun. The action is great. It's fun. It's just fun. I love Leia choking. You know, big slug guy, Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt.
You know, I could sit. You know, I could talk for a lot longer, but it's a well-deserved place in my opinion, in my number 2 spot. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
It's also better with Jabba the Hutt being a slug, not a human.
Yeah, well, he wasn't ever that in Return of the Jedi, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
So, my number 2, right? Is that where we're at?
Number 2.
My number 2 is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So, and he just kind of went over this in the last video, but I'll kind of reiterate some things.
Absolutely.
The biggest deal with this movie, I think, for me, is just the huge range of characters. There's so many cool characters, and they're played so well, and it's the first time since Episode 4 where you get introduced to, you know, all these new characters. You know, I guess you get introduced in Episode 4, Episode 7, and then this one. And Episode 7's not so many, but there are good characters there too. But
sure.
But there's just so many characters in this film, and every single one of them is acted extremely well. There's so many, you know, Forrest Whitaker, all the different people that acted in this film, and it's just good. It's just really good. I love the story. You know what happens. You know that they're gonna die, but it doesn't kill it. And that's kind of actually what I thought whenever I first went to go watch it was, man, we know what happens. We know they're gonna die. So why are we even watching this movie? You know, but it's really good. So that's my number 2. What's yours?
Number 2. I already did number 2. We're at number 1.
Oh, right? Yeah. No, you started with number 2. Okay, yeah. So number 1. What's
number 1? I don't know. What could it possibly be? My number 1 is The Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5. a few years ago, this might not have been my number one because I probably would have put episode 6 there, but I have always been a sucker for mythology and for lore. I mean, we which should be vaguely obvious from our channel title and some of the themes that we discuss. And it's got that in spades. I mean, Yoda is wonderful. Yoda is about the perfect blend of comedy and mystery and drama in that film. Now they ruined that in episode 2 and have him flipping off of walls and all this stupid stuff. But because he's hilarious in the first part. He has this wonderful, believable Jim Henson character, smacking R2 with the cane, and it's just that's all this funny stuff. And it actually elevates Mark Hamill's acting significantly. I mean, he's pretty boring and not very fleshed out in episode 4. And then episode 5, there's so much. I mean, when the iconic Star Wars scene, the Vader father moment, he's melodramatic, but not out like there are people that would disagree, I'm sure, but it's a bit melodramatic, but it's not that far out of the realm of real reaction. I mean, really. I mean, it's up there, but his entire world is turned upside down. His hand is chopped off. I mean, how much more horrible and painful could you have? I mean, break his femur in there too, maybe. But so it's got that moment. It's got Boba Fett in it, which it introduces that character, and Boba Fett is a stronger character in Empire than he is in Return of the Jedi because he doesn't die burping into the Sarlacc pit. But it still doesn't do anything. He just stands there. But come on, he's still cool. One thing that's slightly ruined in Clone Wars, the TV show, but that's different story for a different day. It's a great film. I know I'm kind of going with what a lot of people say, picking Empire, but it really is right now at this moment my favorite Star Wars film of all 11.
Awesome. So my number one, we already know, is episode 4. And the sole reason that it is number 1 at this point is just because it's the beginning. It's what intros, it's what intros everything. Obi-Wan Kenobi and getting introduced into that character, and of course Luke and Leia and Darth Vader and all the different characters, just getting introduced to those in the beginning of their story, or the beginning of their stories we knew it at that time. It's a really good film, and probably my favorite scene would have to be when Obi-Wan Kenobi fights Darth Vader. And
it's interesting because it's kind of a dull fight.
It is. It's a very dull fight, but it's just like him risking, or not risking, but sacrificing himself was just really cool. It's just a really cool scene. And it is a very boring lightsaber fight compared to the ones they have in the later films. But anyway,
it is pretty cool though. Absolutely.
So that's my number 1.
Absolutely. So that's been Star Wars Ranked as of 2020. Check back in a year or so where we would really like to redo this later and incorporate some other media into it. So you can check back a year from now-ish and see it then. We have totally enjoyed making this series. Hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you did, make sure and give us a like. If you didn't like this video for whatever reason, give us a thumbs down. Make sure and subscribe, ring the bell, give us comments. We'd love to hear how wrong we were, or how right we were, or just your list. Make sure you comment down below with your list, your top 11. If you want to discuss some of the other media, we'd love to discuss that down there too. So thanks. Y'all have a great day.
Bye.